has anybody checked the minutes from last meeting? Are we all satisfied with the minutes from last meeting?
So I have the copy here to sign. The only question, that I have on them is the bullet, the first one says the new election of election officers was postponed until the next meeting.
Electoral board officers is, I tried to make
Oh,
that
it does
clear.
say that, okay, alright.
Yeah, it wasn't election officials,
Okay.
it was electoral
So
board
then the only
officers.
thing
Yeah.
I think we need to add are those election officials that we approved, or they're right there. You got it, never mind, I'm sorry.
I added all that
I
stuff.
saw it
She
on
got it
the,
all squared away.
See it
I
now,
had it
she's
all
got it.
squared away.
so I'm
Okay.
good with the minutes.
Do we approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second? All those in favor? I've never taken a vote.
Actually, you don't have to on minutes.
Good, thank you. I'm gonna learn a lot from you. Okay, introductions, public comments. Anyone need introductions? Sign this.
I think everybody knows everybody.
Mr. Christensen, would you like to make any comments?
No, I'm introduced myself last time and
Yes.
it didn't startle anybody to my
Didn't
knowledge.
make any of us fall out of our chairs?
Perfect.
Good,
Do you want me
okay.
to sign these too, even though I wasn't
Sure.
a member there?
Sure, yeah, now you are, so you get to sign. Okay, so we have a new election of vice chair, chair, and secretary because we have a new board member, Mr. James Smith. So how do you want to proceed with this? Do you want to take nominations, official nominations? Does anyone have a preference as to how they would like to do this?
Sure.
It's three of us.
I nominate Larry for chair.
I'm not a member.
I'm Larry.
Leary.
So, no,
I
I'm
thought he said
Larry. Larry. How do you do? It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Yes,
again.
L-E-R-I for the paper.
I have that.
Okay, I guess I'll second that if I can.
Can.
Okay. Do we need to take a vote? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Vice chair, I nominate Mr. Smith for vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Mr. Smith, congratulations, you are the new vice chair. Nominations for secretary. I nominate Annette Hyde,
Second.
because she's doing such a wonderful job.
And the secretary and the chair have to be of opposite parties.
Yes,
So-
she is.
I know, so you guys don't have much of an option there.
Yes, but we still need to go for it. I need to demonstrate that I have a very thin knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order. All those in favor of Annette Hyde being?
So now I can take acting secretary.
Yeah, there you go.
Acting
Oh.
part.
I can update you guys in the
That's why
system.
you get the big bucks in there.
Yeah, you can get the big bucks. That's what we pay you the big bucks for. So now, I'm satisfied with electoral board. I'm
Yeah,
just
I think
saying
that's
that,
fine. I have
you
another
know.
one. I guess you made two. I'm
She
not
made
sure.
two for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I already had two, but
Oh,
they said
okay.
chair, but Mr. Smith, did you get, are you a mister or something else, a military title or an academic title
I
or?
don't do any of those.
Okay, fine. You're satisfied with being called Mr. Smith in an official capacity
Actually, that was my dad, but we'll go with
then? Okay, we'll call you Jim. Or would you prefer Jimbo? Okay, the next item on the agenda is we need to modify, discuss, finalize election official precinct assignments for Tuesday. And I have this, list that you sent, no, that's not the assignments. Do you have new assignments today?
It's the same one as the last meeting.
Okay.
Maybe not. I'll get copies.
Jim could use a copy.
Yeah.
While she's doing that, I was wondering, how do we circulate on election day, go to the various precincts? That is our responsibility? correct? And as well as being present in the morning and in the evening when, particularly in the evening, when all the equipment and the tapes and everything come back in. Correct?
For that, yes.
Um,
And Lauren's probably more on top of that, but
yeah,
I think we're,
but, see, I date back to Benita days when she was there and I don't know what the other electoral board members did, but they were here to receive the equipment and help make sure everything came in from each precinct the way it should. Is that the way you want us to do that?
Well, your
On
main
election
objective on election night is the signatures and the paperwork. The rest of it, I kind of figure out as I'm putting things away and can go back and pick up doorbells and signs and things like that. It's a little bit of a crazy process on that night with all the stuff being brought in. So we worry about the signatures and the paperwork, and then the rest I figure out as I'm like putting things away afterwards.
Okay, we used to actually have stations where people would bring their stuff in.
Yeah.
You make sure they brought everything.
We still have that, so it's like a spot for each precinct, but my husband's normally here on election night helping them carry the stuff from their vehicle in.
Mhm.
And then you guys will be set up accepting paperwork, looking at the SORs, the tapes, everything like that, so that you don't have to bring them back in the next day.
That wasn't on the agenda, but has to do with the,
Sure.
election precinct assignments. So, do we want to assign certain precincts to each electoral board member so that you can stay within one region when you're circulating?
That's what we've done for the last year, just to make it easier on them, but most people still like to see every precinct throughout the day, so I think that's a question for you guys, how much travel you want to do, or do you want to be more tied down to a lesser amount of people? How do you want to do it?
How do you want, does anyone have any preference?
I'm accustomed to hitting them all on election day for about the last 5
Well,
years.
I think this one, it'll be easier to hit them all because it's gonna be.
I do think that someone should probably be designated to like a few of the precincts that don't have as familiar people in there to help with closing or answering questions or paperwork or whatnot.
Who has the most
To have
preference?
us, when they lock the doors at night, help on closing, or just to be available.
To be available for like if they have questions where something goes or like, typically if we had like a new chief or something, Benita would kind of go there at 6:45 or 6:30 and like help them go through the paperwork and whatnot. I know that's going to be new for all of you guys too, but we do have like Wolftown where Mr. Farmer's never been a chief, Kriglersville where the other Mr. Farmer's never been a chief. Everybody else should be pretty familiar with it, but I think those two should have a board member there at near closing.
Mark should know.
I mean, he should, but he's also never been a chief. It is different.
Okay.
Yeah. He does have a pretty good assistant.
So we can make these decisions as we get
We
closer
can
to.
make them on
Okay.
election day.
Okay. I gave you guys the wrong list. I don't know where that one came from.
Like, this is the old one. That's on name.
Annette knows.
Yeah, because I'm really scratching through all these names.
What these crazy people?
Did everybody show? For training? There was a couple that didn't make it on Monday.
Yeah, I think Warren said that,
Donna and Lisa, I mean.
They're coming to the makeup session.
yeah, I think, there was somebody, she said they called yesterday and was gonna come to the makeup session too.
And got it. Put Donna and Lisa in an armored personnel carrier so that they don't get T-boned with falling, breaking a bone or something.
You want to escort them?
Yeah, I can do that.
We've got cops all up and down Main Street for the fourth graders today.
Okay, these are old. Let me take these back.
Now, there was name on there.
Natasha's printing the new ones with the assignments, but
Oh.
these ones are not right.
Jim mentioned who
Thank you.
has not attended training so far.
So everyone as of now who has not attended training is scheduled for the makeup training on June 7th.
Okay.
And it's Jennifer Hardy, Lisa,
Don and Lisa.
Don and Lisa, Sandra Knoll, Rebecca Sanchez Burr, and Rhonda Lewis.
Did you just hand me the new updated?
No, she's printing it and bringing it
Okay.
down with the
I
assignments
just thought I was
because the
missing
posted
some.
ones are blank.
I'm
They
not
don't
good at
have it.
shuffling papers at
Yeah.
all. Okay, so we can't really finalize that until we see the assignments, but you know what, 5 or 6 people who need to come to make up.
6, yeah.
6 people, okay.
Do you have to set up for them?
No, we're gonna do that in here and it's much briefer. Just the slot, the PowerPoints really.
And
And
those
not getting
PowerPoints
anything
are
out.
available to all the election officials to
Yeah, I
push
didn't
up.
get that email with the link to the training.
So Annette sent that one out, but I have to send it with the updated link, so I'll make sure to put everybody on that.
Thanks.
That one doesn't have the assignments either. Okay. So yeah, I think as of now, this is good. We do have the one lady who came today who's brand new, Casey Griffin. I don't know, maybe you guys want to put her at like Wolftown as an extra.
She's a bright lady.
Wolftown, well, yeah, I guess you could do that.
I mean, Wolftown is probably your weakest right now with people switching for half-a-day shifts. And then you have a brand new chief and assistant chief. So that would be my suggestion.
That's probably a good idea.
Jim Robinson's gonna be there.
Jim's gonna be the assistant. It's good to have backup for him because we just don't know.
Yeah, he mentioned when he voted that he didn't know if he could do a whole day, but he didn't say anything today. I told him to let me know.
Says he's doing a whole lot better.
Okay. So I say put her there just in case
think that
something
makes-
happens.
Yeah.
Spell her name, please.
Kasey Griffen, I believe is right.
And who did you say needed training in? Dawn,
Don and Lisa that are at Etlin.
okay. And who else?
Rebecca, who's the chief at Rochelle.
Okay.
Sandra at Madison. Rhonda Lewis at Graves Mill. And Jennifer Hardy
Did
at
you
Madison.
find out Rhonda was the one that didn't know her affiliation?
She is,
We don't have affiliations on this sheet either.
yeah, that, I don't know, I told her to print the one that did, but it doesn't.
She can print the one that does, that'd be helpful.
Who was the last person you said?
So you said Rhonda doesn't know her affiliation? I thought Claire was a U, Lauren was a R, and Rhonda was a D.
At the last meeting, you mentioned that one had not declared yet, you didn't know her.
Oh no, that was Billy Clark, and hers is, go have her print that.
Who's the last person that needed the training?
Is it Jennifer Hardy,
In
Madison?
Madison? There she is, okay. Yeah, we need those
So that's
designations.
2, 3, 4. Because the designations in the past have been iffy.
So, Billy's paperwork says that she prefers to be unaffiliated, so my suggestion there would be to swap her and Casey. If Casey's an R, and you need an R at Oak Park.
Try this again.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we're gonna move Billy to,
Wolftown.
to Wolftown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Basically, two unaffiliated, one D and one R in Wolftown. Okay. Any other changes we want to make?
I don't know of any at this point. So I'd say we're good with that.
Unless somebody doesn't show up to make it.
Yep.
Okay.
Who all, is there anybody else?
Oh,
that
you guys
was-
actually need to approve Casey Griffin as an
Right.
election official.
Right,
Okay, can we have a
So-
motion to
I
approve?
move that we approve Casey Griffin as election official.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And a motion to approve the assignments?
So approved, so moved.
Do we wanna
Second.
wait? Do we wanna wait to be sure everybody is done training before we finalize that or what?
Well, I think we can change them if we have to
Okay.
later on, but
Yeah, since we have this on the,
stuff will come up until the day of probably, so.
So
Okay.
Laura's untrained, Jennifer Hardy's untrained, John and Lisa are untrained.
Laura,
Sandra Nolan,
Laura, where is she?
at Radiant, she trained.
Show Jim the list.
Oh,
The
Laura.
people that come in there
Yeah.
and,
the makeup Sandra Noel in Madison.
Yeah,
Sandra Knoll, so that's,
Sandra and Jennifer and Madison,
Rebecca
Okay.
and Rochelle.
Rebecca and Rochelle,
Hardy and then Donna
Davis.
Lisa. Yeah.
John and Lisa, yep.
Okay, move to approve. Did we do that?
go ahead and move to approve in second, I would discuss, I just wanna be clear on one thing. Casey
Okay.
Griffin's gonna be in Oak Park,
Yes,
okay, and Billy
As
Clark's
an
gonna be in
R.
Wolftown.
yes,
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Just wanna be sure.
as long as,
So, they're approved, and if we need to make changes, we'll go back and make changes.
sounds good.
Okay, cool. So we can move on to, the new item, which has to do with the cancellation of voters and ballots. And we sort of need to have information in front of us in order to understand this. But it seems, my overall impression was that there are just too many options, okay?
Well, that's why I think you just,
Larry,
you need
do you
one.
mind if I address?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The issue is, for both parties, if a member of the party wants to serve as a delegate to a convention, then they sign their affirmation pledge, all that good stuff, application, pay their money, and sign all that good stuff. Then the party chair or the credentials committee is supposed to go through, check the voting records to see whether or not they have voted in the opposite party's primaries, and to see whether or not they've given to the opposite party candidates to hit the threshold. So we've had the problem in the past, at the Democrat primary, Republican comes in, registers, not knowing what's going on, gets a ballot and said, well, I'm a Republican, I don't wanna vote for Democrat. Well, go ahead and vote for the one that you would like to vote against anyhow, or you think you had to settle for that. And that's a problem, because if the Republican voted in the Democrat primary and then decided he wanted to be a delegate in the convention, you'd have some explaining to do as why you're voting in the Democrat primary if you say you're Republican. So what we want to be able to do is for somebody, if they find out, have an epiphany, so I don't wanna do this, so then do an oh, never mind, get canceled on the check-in and return the ballot, so it does not show up that they voted in the primary. So that's what this is about procedurally, how do we do that?
Yes, that issue was basically what to do with the ballot if you uncheck a vote.
Right, the uncheck-in is not the issue, it's just, is your ballot void or do you reuse it?
Yeah, or if it's an uncheck-in, then they're not gonna show up
in the final
But it
voting.
is showing up in the poll book. When
As
I,
a
when I
cancel.
did it, it shows up as canceled and
And
it
that's the
keeps
problem.
account of it, right? So that's why, like, in my opinion, we either have to see if we can remove that canceled from the poll book, that option of accounting for them in general, which I don't know is a smart thing to do because there may come a situation where you need to know that and you just void the ballot.
Well, it's not going to be in the amount of voters who voted.
It's not, no.
Okay, it's just gonna be in the number of
This
people
is just
who
in
were
it's called the
canceled.
ballot reconciliation,
Right.
so it's just part of that. Do you void that ballot or do you put it back into your unused file? And if you don't void it, then you're gonna have a check-in number that's accounting for a ballot, but you don't have that voided ballot to go with it.
But
So,
it's
so an
not.
uncheck-in is not an uncheck-in.
Well, it is because it's taking it off of their record, but I can probably still pull up on that, like who we did cancel, which I think you want to know at some
Yeah, you
point
might wanna
because,
know
like,
that.
if you as my chief cancel 6 people that shouldn't have been canceled and like you're doing something wrong, I want to be able to get to the bottom of that.
What I wanna know, instead of getting into the superfluous issues, is if you uncheck someone and it goes into the canceled tally, is that in the final tally of voters who checked in?
Well, no, because they're not checked in.
Okay.
It's check-ins, which is 54, like on our training in there, and then it's spoiled, and then it's canceled, and like they're all separate numbers from the check-in.
Spoiled is not part of this.
But it
Okay?
is, because this is in the ballot reconciliation. So
Right.
those 150 like that's what this is in. Your check-in is only who checked in on the poll book and who scanned a ballot on the machine.
Exactly.
But you still have to reconcile every ballot for
Right.
election
But if
security.
you get the ballot back,
If you get the ballot back and the person doesn't vote, then that is reconciled.
Right,
See what I'm
but the problem with the reconcile is once you've checked them in and canceled them, the poll book showing one for canceled.
Right.
That's assuming that there's a ballot that goes with that one. So like,
No, it doesn't assume that.
no, it does
assumes-
assume that
It should not assume that. It should assume there's no ballot.
because we're teaching them, which is the correct way. You use that poll book summary sheet that we went to and pulled up on the screen to do your ballot reconciliation at the end of the day.
If you void that ballot, it's gonna mess up your reconciliation, because you did not include that voter in the final voter tally.
Yes, we did.
You just told me you don't.
But not the voter tally. But one thing you have to realize when you're doing this is there's a lot of different numbers that you're looking at. So your voters are what your tally tape says at the end of the day, and what your check-ins say on your poll books on your summary screen.
But the
Those two should match.
the tally comes from the scanner.
It does.
Those
Yeah.
are the only voters.
The tally comes from the scanner. That's the ones who
Didn't
put a
get
ballot
scanned, they didn't
through.
vote.
The poll book check-in should match that if your election officials do what they're supposed to. But your ballot reconciliation is reconciling the ballots. That's separate from the voters. You have to reconcile every ballot you were given. So 150 ballots is what you started with. If I'm just going off of the training stuff, you have to account for every 150.
Mhm.
So,
So if you got 100 that you scanned and you got 50, then you're reconciled.
right.
And during the
But
course of the
if
day,
you go back to that summary screen on the poll book, it's giving you one for canceled when I backed out and checked that person out. And that one canceled is gonna,
so you'd show
it's
101
accounting for
checked
one
in
ballot.
and one canceled, then
no, it's not showing 101 checked in. It's showing the 100 check-ins, and it's showing 1 spoiled, 2 void, 1 provisional. Those are all ballots too. So like it's just breaking them down as to how you have them.
I just, in the example, 150 ballots, 100 that got scanned.
Uh-huh.
That's the scenario.
Okay.
we had 101 people that checked in and one said, nope, I'm not checking in, I'm checking out. Give you the ballot, take my name off. So now
You're back down to 100
you're
check-ins.
back down to 100 check-in,
But one
100
canceled.
ballots. It's not canceled, you give it back to him and then he gives it to the next person.
Hey,
Saying to
never
check
dies.
out, because it's as if it never happened.
Never happened.
I get that you're saying that, but your poll book's not doing that.
It's
Is-
gonna
is-
say the guy was canceled.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's not gonna be included
If
anywhere.
he's canceled, why does his ballot?
Yeah.
So if he's canceled, then look at it this way: if he's canceled and you have 50 ballots left,
Well, if he's-
and his 50 is in that, his one that was canceled is in that, then you have that many more come in and vote. Like, it's almost like you have one too many ballots.
No, you got 101 people that checked in, one of them canceled. So now you got a net 100 that checked in and got ballots. So we got 100 ballots on the scanner, we got 50 ballots left, 150 counted for. So the issue is, if you want to go ahead and spoil a ballot when somebody cancels,
You're gonna have.
I mean, it seems that either the ballot goes back on the stack and gets issued to the next person who comes in and presents his ID and is entered in the
Mhm.
poll books. Because this guy that canceled is not in the poll books allegedly. If you're saying that he is in the poll, and I can understand your point, if he is in the poll books and he's canceled, you wanna be able to find